Welcome back to the No Bull Broker Podcast. I'm your host, Nathan Klutznick, and today we have a very special guest, my good friend, location realtor, Andrew Nowacki. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming all the way up. So, Andrew and I have known each other for a pretty long time now. How
Almost 10 years.
Wow, that's crazy. Yeah. You make time go by so fast.
So fast.
Andrew is a close friend. As we just said, known each other for almost 10 years. Our daughters started in school together. Was that pre-kindergarten, I think?
Yeah.
Pre-kindergarten. We quickly hit it off because you saw my athletic abilities. Andrew's a pretty serious athlete and, takes one to know one. So tell me, you played sports your whole life, right?
Yeah. Growing up through high school, college, and got to play after college a little bit. So,
yeah, all football? When did you realize football was your number one?
Probably when I was about 17, 18. So, played soccer and football both. And then kind of had to pick one coming out of high school. And MLS wasn't around at the time, so took my chances on football and worked out pretty good.
Very, very cool. So, you never played basketball? Always soccer or football? You played
basketball in younger years in high school, probably till 11th grade, and then didn't play my senior year.
Very cool. Was that because you just wanted to focus on football, or you just
it was a lot. So that too. We actually had a spring league in Canada, so we play football in the fall, and then have an indoor soccer period, and then got to play spring football as well. So
I guess you don't do indoor soccer in Canada, huh?
Yeah.
Where in Canada did you grow up?
Just outside of Toronto.
Okay. I was thinking about you actually earlier this week. I was on a trip to Detroit, and you know what I saw everywhere that would make me think of you?
What was that?
No snow. Tim Hortons.
Oh yeah.
I remember you used to be a big fan. You probably still are.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we don't have Tim Hortons down here.
Closest thing, Dandy Donuts right down the street.
Dandy, really?
All the same donuts is what you find in a Tim Hortons.
Wait, so Tim Hortons is a donut shop?
Tim Hortons is coffee donut, yeah, and then they do like.
What do you mean same donuts? They bake them at Dandy. No,
it's all the same kind. So the jelly donuts are the same. The white powder sugar jelly donuts, the chocolate coconut.
I think people looking at this podcast right now, if they're watching and not just listening, would think I would know more about the donuts than you. He's a closet fatty. So, yeah, I didn't realize that. I just thought it was a coffee. I think like maybe 7 or 8 years ago, you bought me for around Christmas or the holiday something, or a thank you gift for something, a pack of Tim Hortons coffee.
So Tim Horton actually was an old hockey player and actually played with my mom's cousin in the NHL.
Oh, really?
So they were teammates, and Tim decided to start Tim Hortons. Used his name as it. John, my mom's my mom's uncle, they partnered together. So John and his family grew up owning a bunch of Tim Hortons.
Oh, wow. So you have a direct connection to it. Do they still own it today, or is that?
No, they sold. I guess Tim Hortons got bought by Yum Yum.
Okay. Yum Yum is a private equity group that buys every restaurant.
Yeah. So after that happened, they started selling off their stores. They might have 1 or 2 left.
I wonder how many of them are there. I mean, in Detroit, they were everywhere.
I think they're as far south. I remember driving home from college and seeing them in as far south as Cincinnati.
Okay.
Right at the bottom of Ohio there. So I don't know where they're at now.
Interesting. So after high school, you went on to play football, Ole Miss?
Nope. So started in junior college. My sister went to Ole Miss, so my sister played volleyball there.
Okay.
I started in junior college in Arizona.
Okay.
Just want to get out of the snow. And then transferred
big difference.
Huge. Passed out my first week in Arizona.
I'm sure. Do you remember what time of year it was? It was probably January.
June. I actually visited in January, and it was 60-some degrees at night, and I was like, yeah, I'm coming here.
June, it's 128.
And I was working in a crane yard and shoveling rocks, and I passed out. It was 127 degrees.
Brutal.
Yeah, heat is unbearable. Yeah, it's crazy.
So you started there?
Started there, played 2 years there, and then transferred to a small school in Kentucky, Murray State, in Western Kentucky, and had a blast there. Spent 3 years there, actually, and then finished there in 2004.
Nice. I just toured a large mortgage wholesaler. I won't mention the name, but the owner of it one of the largest in the country. And the owner of it was a coach, a basketball coach, a player and a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And his management style from coaching bled straight through everything he does at his mortgage company. And it was really interesting to see that approach, like the team approach, and everything he learned in basketball translate into creating one of the most successful mortgage companies in the country. First, how long have you been a realtor? And then the second question I had would be, how has your sports history playing affected your career or impacted your career?
So I got licensed in 2012. So at the end of my professional career, playing career, went back to school, got my MBA from FAU, and then that same year that I finished playing football, I got my real estate license, started working with a friend. So that was 2012.
I think if you get an MBA, you should be exempt from taking the real estate exam.
It would make sense, but it wasn't.
You still got to pass the test.
Yeah, and I was in study mode at that point anyway, and
right, it was nothing for you.
Yeah, it was.
Did you have to do the 62-hour course?
Yep. Did it out in.
I thought if you had a master's, you were exempt. You probably were.
Maybe
not anymore.
Yeah,
there was a time, but anyways.
But yeah, so as far as carryover from sports, I think a lot of things in sports carry over to workplace and life in general. The discipline, commitment, the effort that it has to go into anything you do. And I think the longer you play sports, especially at post-secondary, in college and beyond, it just gets more time consuming. You got to be more dedicated and everything else, and it kind of lays a pathway. So the transition out of sports into a regular job, call it. It wasn't.
You think real estate's a regular job?
No, I mean you get out of it what you put in.
Right.
Same could be said about sports, right? You're going to get out if you put the time into the off season, all the little things that nobody sees. Then you're going to be successful. When the games are on TV.
That's actually a great analogy. It's football season, so we'll just take that as an example. But you watch a game on Saturday or Sunday if you're a pro fan, and you look at that, you forget the countless hours, or at least most people do, that go into that sport for each player year round.
Yeah.
Right? It's so much work. I always think about that when agents post. We've talked about it on this pod before, where agents are like, close the house within 24 hours, made this commission or something. I'm like, guys, stop posting that. Even if you list a house, sold it within 24 hours, it just totally discredits all the work that us agents do, 365 days a year to get to the point to where that's even possible.
Sure, all the backstory, the effort that gets you to that point where you can sell a house in 24 hours. Same same in sports, all the hours, the sacrifice, the opportunity cost too, right? You're not going out and doing a lot of things that other people do. You're not going to parties and vacations and all that. You're dedicating yourself to your craft. So a lot of that translates.
Yeah, it's funny how much that relates to anything, right? It's when I created this business, there were just years and years of 7-day work weeks, around the clock and all that, and just nonstop persistence, dedication, and you still have to do all that stuff today, but it took so long before I could even take a check home,
Sure.
to even get to that point. So do you stay in touch with any of your old coaches?
Yeah, a lot of them. A lot of them are, everybody's, I don't want to say everybody, the majority of them move seats every 4 or 5 years. They're at a different school, different pro team. But anytime, any of them are coming to play Miami or Dolphins, any of those close by teams, we always get together and grab dinner or something.
That's cool. It's cool to stay in touch with them. You spend a huge chunk of time of your life with them, right? And try to perform, and they're the leaders of that team.
Yeah.
I always think about how many people still stay in touch with their coaches, but for the coach, that's got to be tough. Every year they're cycling through new players, and good coaches can stay in touch with a lot of people.
Yeah. So my coach in Kentucky, Joe Panunzio, he was coaching in Miami, University of Miami, for a few years. He's with the Eagles now, but he's one of those guys. He was at Alabama with Nick Saban for 7 years, won 2 or 3 national championships with him. But just from Joe's time here in Miami, he knows everybody. And so he came into town one time. We go to What's the name of the restaurant? It's on Oakland by Bayview there. It's
Martiranos?
No.
The Greek Isle?
Across,
Bayview.
yeah.
Cafe Seville.
What
Cafe Seville?
Cafe. Yeah.
The Italian place right there.
Yeah.
So next to your favorite gentlemen's club or gentlewomen's club?
Cafe Seville. So we walk in there, and every person that walked through that door knew Joe and wanted to come up and shake hands with him. I think there was 2 other football teams that were there having like fundraising parties, but called him like the mayor of Fort Lauderdale.
Really?
Somehow the guy just knows, and that's a testament to him and all these players, contact him regularly. He'll send me a message once a month, on his own, just checking up on me.
Oh, really?
But it's those relationships, that we've built. And for us as college athletes, those are like very formative years of our lives. So we, at least for me and a lot of people that I know, you build really lasting relationships with those people if they have a lasting impression on you, which Joe did, and Coach Giabondo before that. You keep in touch with those people, and they do the same. They somehow find the time to do that.
Yeah, you make a really good point. I mean, those coaches sometimes play double duty: coach, parent, father, whatever, to a lot of the kids that are going into the program, right?
Sure.
Such a huge responsibility, and like you said, formative years. And if you're going to high school, you're getting 17, 18, 19, 20-year-old, very impressionable kids.
Yeah.
Have you seen what was it called, the story on Aaron Hernandez?
The documentary?
Yeah.
I haven't
Oh
watched
no, there's a documentary, but there's a new show. Yeah, it's like there's 2. There was like a Netflix documentary,
Mm-hmm.
and now there's like a series. It's a documentary, but it's using actors.
Right.
And it was pretty interesting to watch for that reason. And that was one of the things I realized. It's American sports story, and it goes deep into his past and what led to a lot of the struggles that he had, and losing his dad at a young age, and then coaches having to step in and being the only male leader that he had in his life. So it made me think there's probably a lot of young athletes that,
Definitely a fork in the road, during those years, and you go one way or the other, and coaches, mentors, people in your lives, different friends, all of those people have a huge influence which way you go, right?
Yeah.
So for us in sports, the coaches were that for me.
Yeah, I can see that. So how's biz been lately? What are you focusing on?
Right now, got 4 listings, got, some buyers looking, condos mostly, which no shortage of down here.
And the condo market's getting a little scary, huh?
It is. Fortunately, the clients that I'm working with, we're looking at pre-construction stuff, some pretty nice properties.
Very nice.
But yeah, it's I have a couple listings in condo communities, and it's challenging.
Lots of inventory.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of uncertainty with the SIRS reports and the studies and what's expected in the next year or 2 and how funding is going to be collected, and I think it's a cautious time for buyers, especially jumping into something not knowing for certain what lies ahead.
Yeah, we've had this conversation in some of the leadership groups I'm in, and even the mortgage meeting I was in recently with those national underwriters. There's no easy answers to the complex issues that face the condo market right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just going to take a little time to sort through whether it's condos who are low on reserves, having inspection issues, or the high cost of insurance, so the way some of the boards are treating it and making it more difficult for people to sell. So it's just a little bit of everything that's going to take time.
Sure.
But one thing I can tell you is I remember when the condo market really got hurt in the crash here in 2007, 2008, 2009, to the point where people said it'll never recover, then it went through a boom, right? And so you enter these periods of uncertainty, and it does create a lot of opportunity, right? Yeah. And so the sophisticated buyers definitely know that. May wait a little bit, may not, but that market will move once again. So
I think the market always presents opportunities, right? There's always an opportunity there for people are always going to buy, people are always going to sell, and there's always opportunities one way or another, whether the market's moving up or down.
100%.
It's all perspective and what somebody's looking at.
Yeah, and if an agent's doing well now or even surviving now, they're well positioned for the next turn. I mean, what I'm experiencing now, at least the last few months, is starting to pick up a little bit now. But the last few months, I don't know if it was going into election season. I don't know what the cycle is. I'm not going to pretend like I know exactly what caused it. But transactions per agent statewide in Florida, and actually most of the markets were in Colorado, Texas, Georgia were the same, went to near historic lows per agent. The combination of just kind of low inventory, the higher interest rate market, and people not really budging too much. We saw that the majority, if not every single move that we were involved with, were related to like a necessity. Whether it was someone got married or divorced, job change, whatever it was a move out of need, not desire as much. So I think when we exit that period, it'll obviously shoot up a little bit, but that was different than what we experienced back in 2008, 9, and 10, where the market crashed, but there was just the same amount of transactions. People forget that. Like, oh, this is the worst real estate market. And to your point, it just made me think of it. You just had to shift.
Yeah.
And there were people who made record amounts of money, the most money they've ever made in their lives, by switching to the foreclosure market or switching to markets that were still selling better, whatever their niche was. But we've talked about that in the past, how important it is to have a niche and always be able to adjust. So you did a pretty good job developing that. You leaned on a lot of your sports contacts and everything, right?
Yeah, and it's, something still developing. I'm fortunate to have a great spirit and past group of clients that contribute to the majority of my business. But there's always something you're looking to branch off into. Yeah, absolutely. Speaking
of that, I mean, when you're a real estate agent, you have to be really self-disciplined, right? You're not reporting into an office at 9 a.m. or 8 a.m. You have to be really self-productive, right? Do you have a routine or anything like starting down in the morning, like something you must do in order to get to the next step to be successful that day?
I do, theoretically.
But you can't share it? It's that bad?
No. I feel like, I tried doing it for a while. I joined a coaching program for a couple of years, and there's some great things. What I learned is there's no one. Everybody has to have their own thing, their own routine, their own schedule. Some people need something that's a little more structured, and other people, like myself, if I deviate off of that schedule, I don't want it snowballing and feeling like I'm not being accomplished by, sticking to 5:30 to 5:45. I got to do this 5:45. I just found like that was a little too much pressure, especially having. How it is having young kids. Life happens, and one's sick or one needs to do this. You got to pick one up, and
you can wake up and have a plan for yourself, but people have another plan for you.
Absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. So
that's a good point because you can't let that derail you. I've been in that position before where I got so tied to a routine, and it was paramount to me being in the right mindset that when I would get knocked out of it, it made it that much worse. And I've had to learn to be a little bit more flexible with that too.
I think there's a core set of things that on a daily basis, weekly basis, monthly basis to do and get done. And
so don't do that. What are those for you?
Mostly just right now it's relationships. It's point of
aside from business, what about just for you? Is it exercise, diet?
Again, I try with all those things. I have an exercise plan that I try to stick to. Running 3 times a week. I was running with a group at 6 a.m.
That's easy to fall out of.
Yeah. Especially when it's raining and you're tired and your back hurts. And so those kinds of things, I know what I want to do throughout the week and accomplish through the week. But if I don't do it at 6 a.m., there's other things I could do in the morning that I get my run in at 5 p.m. Things like that. Just knowing that X, Y, and Z has to get done. And you get X, Y, and Z done before the end of the day. And that gives you that sense of accomplishment and keeps you on track.
For sure.
With exercise, with business, with family, spending time with the girls is huge for me. And now Lori, she's got 2 boys, so we're 4 of us making time for everyone.
For everything, yeah.
So it's, checking those boxes off. So it's personally, socially, business-wise and everything else. So it's just, trying to fit everything in.
Yeah. What do you have going on this holiday season? I know we're not supposed. This will probably air right after, but I know that every year you do something big for Thanksgiving. Are you doing that again this year?
This year, these past few weeks were just really hectic for me.
Something to allow for.
Yeah. So every year I was doing a Thanksgiving fundraiser where we would collect money. It was very, I don't have a nonprofit or anything like that. It was just basically my sphere
You going out there
of influence, and we would pool money together, and we would buy 50, 60, 70 meals from Publix and distribute those to.
Yeah, you did a really good job in some years past. How many families do you think you were able to feed? Because you did that 3 years in a row.
We did 4. So we did 4 years. During COVID, we took a year off. And it started, me and a friend, ex-NFL guy that lived locally. We just were talking and we wanted to volunteer, do something during Thanksgiving. Couldn't find something that worked for us, so we just kind of said, well, why don't we fundraise some money? And he tapped into his people and I kind of did the same. And, we set up at a school and handed out meals to families and got it connected with some social workers, some organizations, local organizations, and it's awesome. It's really rewarding. It was just a lot, and I feel terrible saying it, but a lot of effort obviously does go into it. I think last year I spent 13 hours delivering meals.
It's a lot,
and
it's always hard to find volunteers to help.
Yeah, and like people, and to their credit, people want to help, and they donated in the past and everything. It just was a lot trying to do everything, be a one-man show and kind of do everything. I know you guys helped out. You guys every year were helping deliver meals to Women in Distress was one of the organizations we work with. But I think this year we might shift from Thanksgiving and do it more around the holiday time.
Okay.
So around New Year's, just before, we'll probably do something.
Well, if you pick it back up, your location fam is here to help out with that.
Appreciate it.
I know, seeing you put hundreds of meals into people's hands and especially working through those other organizations that we've helped with in the past to make sure they're getting into the hands in our community that need it most.
Yeah.
That's a big impact. So you've also showed up for the AZ Walking Pass. You weren't there this year. I don't know. Probably.
I was coaching this year.
Oh, were you?
4 kids again, remember?
Oh, yeah. What are you coaching?
I was football.
Flag
football, yeah.
Just for the boys?
Boys, yeah.
Oh, awesome.
So it was, weekends were busy and...
That's a lot. I'm coaching Rivers' flag football team right now. He's on the 8U.
Okay.
He just turned 7 a couple days ago. But it's been a blast, but everyone's telling me I yell too much. So. Are you a yeller?
No. I've learned, so when I finished playing, I volunteered 1 year in high school, at the high school level at Cardinal Gibbons. And, I made the mistake of thinking that I could do the same things I did, in that collegiate and professional level, in the high school level. And it was a little
different?
It was a little frustrating.
Wait, so what age are you coaching?
This was 8-year-old.
Oh, it was 8?
8 and 9, yeah.
So you know exactly what
so
I'm
it's all
going
about fun. It's all about fun.
It's all about winning, Andrew. Yeah, a few of the moms have been like, hey, don't forget, these kids are 6, 7, and 8 years old. I have on my AU team,
Yeah.
It's been a blast. It's just hard for me because it's like I want to see them do better,
right?
And they are, and they're progressing. But it's like, you call, we'll do like an offense play right, they're going left,
right?
And we call those Omahas. Our audibles are Omahas. So Peyton Manning fan.
Yeah.
So everything's Omaha. We have way too many Omahas, and our flag pulling
Everybody's going this way.
Yeah. We definitely, last night at practice, we did a lot of flag pulling drills.
Yes.
But it's a lot of fun, and you don't get those years back with the kids.
Yeah. Comes around once. And
yeah. Well, if there's an agent out there just getting started, do you have any tips? Anything you would tell them as a veteran agent?
Looking back at my own career, and I'm far from having all the answers or anything close to it, but when I first started, I probably would have benefited more jumping on a team and working with somebody closely. I kind of I kind of started my career doing that, working as somebody's assistant. I learned, the paperwork side of it, so contracts and, filling out paperwork and the addendums and how to do all those sorts of things, more of the back office type stuff.
Yeah.
But, for somebody coming in, find somebody, that's willing to work with you, show you the ropes, teach you how to do outreach and prospect and develop those relationships. And I think the other thing, just with everything in life, and you can attest to this, is just being consistent.
Absolutely.
You start something and just be consistent. If it's one thing, it's better doing one thing consistent than trying to do 5 things and falling off on all 5 of those.
Yeah, you just made 3 good points. And you got to learn all the simple stuff, right? If you can't do that, you're probably in the wrong business. You got to go learn your contracts. You got to do all that. I tell agents, you can come to our classes, you can go to the association. The next thing is figuring out who you're going to collaborate with, because you can't do it alone. Whether you're going to join a team or you're going to network with other agents, you have to collaborate, right? And staying persistent. So, my friend, Realtor Extraordinaire, thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
That's no bull.